This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
Well, all right, I'm back. It's Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light. And Mark, welcome back. We missed you last week. Hope the vacation was effective.
Sounding good. You guys handled it quite nicely in my absence. I appreciate that.
You missed a nice visit with our friends, the Hands Are Off Twins. I hope Randy Carlisle fans and other fans go back and listen to that episode if you missed it last week.
Me too. Alan, it was great to hear you because I know how far you go back with that whole camp. So it was great to hear that. And I got to say, I was so bummed to miss talking to those guys. I've loved them for so many years. I'm so happy to see that they're actually venturing out on their own.
You are a full convert into the Randy Carlisle universe. And I know you've talked about how much you love watching those guys on stage. So you can't do it all. We're sorry you couldn't be here, but you could hear it just like everybody else can hear it.
Right. That is true. And now you can actually see that entire video. The entire interview is up on our website at sounduppod.com and on our YouTube page. And we're going to have more videos of our interviews going up real soon. So that's really cool.
Wait, what?
Yes.
We have a YouTube page? Is that what you said, Roger?
It's actually known as a YouTube channel, Mark.
Channel.
It's a channel.
Oh my. See? I need your help. Where would people find that?
Just Sound Up Pod on YouTube. That's simple.
Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
With
all right.
more full video interviews going up probably by the time you hear this.
Yes, we should. The next one to go up should be your interview with The Warning.
All right. So let's leap into it. I was on vacation and I was able to catch a little bit here and there as the Olympics kicked off. A little bit.
We've been all in over here, I got to say. Just having it on, just keeping it on, even with the sound off, just like, hey, see what's going on and check in. I forget how much I love it. I do. I don't think about it in the run up. I don't think like, oh, the Olympics are coming. And then they're there and I'm like, I'll watch them bounce around on the beam and fly through the air on the uneven, but like, I'll watch that. What else am I doing?
Can I just interject here for a moment? Over the weekend, my wife and I were watching when we got back from vacation. And when we tuned in on Sunday night, there was a sport with women playing that I had never seen before.
Which
and
one? There are some of those. Which, do you know?
This was it. Like the field looked like soccer. The way they were handling the ball was kind of like rugby. The way they were setting up offense and defense was kind of like basketball. And then there was one part of it that seemed like football as one of the women would grab the ball and run it into what? The goal.
That would be women's rugby, I presume.
No. And my wife and I were going like, what the hell is this game? What's it called? And she's like, well, it's probably called handball. I said, no. Handball.
That's
you know what that is. It's on
the
court. Women's handball. I don't know. Never saw it before. Didn't know it was an Olympic sport, but damn, it was fun.
Sounds like a Harry Potter kind of
it's like Quidditch. It was like Quidditch.
You got your skateboarding, you got your surfing, you got your mountain biking.
I know that skateboarding has been in for a couple of years, but the fact that skateboarding is an Olympic sport now kind of blows my mind. It's kind of cool.
We're waiting for the breakdancing competitions to begin.
You're joking, right?
I'm not joking.
That's
no.
I was saying. Okay, yeah, that's actually happening.
An actual event this year. Yes, it is.
Wow. I guess Snoop has got to be in on judging on that.
I don't know if he's everywhere else. We'll get to that. But yeah, lots of music in and around this Olympics for sure.
What stuck out to you guys? I know I've been reading quite a bit. I just saw pieces of Celine Dion's performance, which really stoked a lot of people. We know that she had been going through this terrible diagnosis of the stiff man syndrome. So this was her return. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy opening ceremonies, which were, a whole freak fest, which was kind of great and kind of curious and freaked a lot of people out. But there was some really great, I mean, first of all, just to see the city of Paris. Let's just start with to actually, for better, for worse, it was too long. It was too long watching the boats come down. There was weird stuff that didn't make sense. All of that is true. But rather than having them just march into a stadium, to be able to use the city of Paris and the buildings and the skyline and everything that is beautiful about that city was fantastic to watch. And look, Celine closing the opening Olympic ceremonies is going to be like Whitney singing the national anthem.
Yeah.
I mean, that just felt like one of those super iconic performances, moments that people are going to refer to for a long time, that we haven't heard her sing. That documentary was, recently came out. Yeah. We know the struggles that she's been through, and the sight of her on the Eiffel Tower, as much an athlete as any of the other athletes there delivering that performance. It just felt like that was, this galvanizing, around the world moment.
And a great image of someone rising up, someone triumphing, something, bringing something home across the finish line. She made it to the stage.
That's just going to be, when it's over in a couple of weeks and they do all the wrap up videos and everything else, it's going to end on that shot of her singing. That's going to stand as an emotional centerpiece for this for certain. When we talk about, what the biggest music moments of this year will be when we hit the end of the year, that's going to be one of those moments.
And through, great song selections, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that's funny to me, she speaks French.
Well,
but she ain't French.
Though. She's French Canadian.
It's another language. It's another, so I get it, the global iconography of her, but it is kind of funny to end on, here's somebody French, but they're not French like from France. So, okay.
And then, look, people don't know probably that your dad is originally from Montreal.
Yeah.
So there is explained that there's a little. It's not a rivalry, but there's a little something.
Québécois French is a different. It's a little different dialect. It's a little different spin, and not that it's competitive, but it's certainly its own thing. It's not French.
Each group wants to make sure that they know we're this, we're not that.
So, that's just a little side note.
Yeah.
But other stuff throughout that opening ceremony, Lady Gaga as the, sort of cabaret representative, right? As that element of French history and French contribution to culture. And, and she was great. And she's been around. She stuck around through the weekend. She was at the gymnastics. She was at the swimming.
Yeah.
And I guess I read this morning that she played some snippets from the new album, like out of her car to fans who had gathered outside of her hotel.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Just played like 30 seconds from two different songs and then said you're going to have to wait for the rest. But it was like sort of as a thank you, gave a little, nod to the new music to the Olympic fans.
That is awesome. Oh, my God.
As her fiance as of the weekend. Yes, apparently that's true.
Whoa. Okay. And her stunning, of course. You would expect her to be able to nail her performance and costume. And the other thing you're saying, Alan, about having Paris as the backdrop, to see where she performed, to see where Celine performed at the Eiffel Tower, and to see where she was on those steps, and just classic, those black gloves and, her outfit. It was perfect. It was just perfect Parisian stuff. It was massive.
And talk about setting. We've got to bring up Gojira for a moment here as well, which was so ridiculously badass to put a metal band playing out the windows of a castle, introduced by a headless Marie Antoinette.
How great was that?
And then playing a metal version of Ça ira, of a song from the time of the French Revolution.
Yes.
Was just hilarious and, such a great big swing to do that. Most metal Olympic moment you could come up with, right?
All the fire and the location itself. This is where Marie Antoinette was held during the French Revolution. Oh my God, it's phenomenal. But I mean, did anything, either of you guys, it crossed my mind. I'm like, this is incredible. They sound cool. And again, song choice, great. But was anybody going, of all of the metal bands in the world, they come up with Gojira? Did that strike anyone as a bit odd? They're not French. They're not even French Canadian. How did they wind up at the Olympics?
Maybe they're just more globally known than a lot of the, I mean,
are they?
Listen, it could have been Metallica, I guess, but
yes,
it was Gojira, and they killed it. But it was such a, I don't know if you felt this too. It was so badass, but it also felt like this is so non-Olympics for the Olympics to do this in this way, like from the castle.
But in the midst of all the other stuff, in the midst of the drag queens and the fashion show and just like, okay, let's, if this is all about centuries worth of culture, let's throw that in. And if we're going to throw in the French Revolution moment, let's make it the bad motherfuckers, to do that. Be the rebellion. Like that's okay.
It was an amazing moment. It absolutely was. And the staging was spectacular. And I don't know, did they even get a sound check for that?
I do not know what the rehearsal involved.
Right? How do they even do that?
They can't just throw you out there.
But it was all in all, I thought a pretty impressive opening ceremony. They can be, as you said, they can be overly long, and they can be, just people waving. But yet, and I saw some reviews where people were saying, it didn't present the kind of unity that past openings have. Part of the thing about the opening ceremonies is all of the teams are united as they walk into the stadium. I didn't miss that. I thought that those boats coming down the Seine was spectacular, I thought.
Yeah, look, did it all work? No, did not all work, for sure. Was it odd to see the tip of the hat to the great French tradition of the ménage à trois? That was weird. Yes, that was weird. But,
surprising.
But to try to pull something off, that's a memorable, that we're in a different world. I think the London Olympics and that James Bond, the Daniel Craig and the Queen jumping out of the helicopter opening, and some of the big rock and roll moments from that, like clearly that raised the stakes, elevated the game for what the production of the opening ceremonies are, that it's not just a bunch of, a big parade of athletes, that it's about the place and about the history and about, bringing in all those elements. And this was a hugely ambitious swing, as we found out, especially in the pouring rain.
Yeah.
You're banking everything and then you get that.
Yeah.
But listen, I think each of these things that we're talking about, those are moments that really landed, and I think will stay with people, and that's the win.
I think the next Gojira album is going to be bigger than any of the past ones.
If they just stick with 18th century material.
Right?
So if we're going to talk about music at the Olympics, the other thing we have to talk about is the fact that our national ambassador, Mr. Snoop Dogg, is the global mascot at this point. Like, he is everywhere. They are putting him in every setting, every night. He's at every event.
The culmination. This is where Snoop has been heading since Martha Stewart.
Look, it is crazy. And Roger and I were talking about this, to think back 30 years and to think about when Snoop Dogg emerged in this cloud of controversy with
he was wanted for murder,
accessory to murder allegations, on the run from the police. He did those videos where he was so like shy and mysterious. He wouldn't even look at the camera. It was all these like side glances. It was all, this sort of one step removed from the gang. Bringing the Crip Walk to the Olympics is not what we would have seen in 1993.
Like you, Alan, I've had the Olympics on kind of nonstop, volume on, volume off. And the other night I woke up and Snoop is sitting there breaking down like a swim 400-meter thing. And I was like, what am I watching here? This is amazing. And he knew every detail he had. He was nailing it, but he does it with that Snoop swagger. And it's just it brings so much fun to this thing.
It just brings joy to everyone. And talk about the American dream, talk about,
right?
The incredible saga and transformation and multiple chapters and everything else. Like, it is unreal to see what he has become and to see him totally rise to that and, be great in all of these settings, be dancing around at the events and come and do the wrap ups at the end of the night and go through the streets of Paris, like all of it.
And he is doing a great job. As you're saying, Roger, he knows what he's talking about. He studies up. He's not just in there, sort of hanging out. He's on it. I give him credit.
Watched him they were doing recap, and he was doing play-by-play last night on a badminton rally.
That's awesome.
Listen, really, we'll just give him everything. We'll just give him anything. It's okay. He can handle it. So, meantime, just should mention, I mean, if you just keep watching the stands, Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are there. Gaga was hanging out. Kelly Clarkson doing, broadcast. One of the Jonases. I don't know which Jonas. One of the Jonases. Did you see the shot of Flavor Flav and Jill Biden? That, you know, Flavor Flav, who has been the benefactor for the women's water polo team for the last couple of years.
Oh, is that so?
Oh, yeah. He's taken that on as his. He's been funding. I guess he read that, the women's water, they all had to work multiple jobs to be able to afford to do their water polo training. And he was outraged and broke them off a bunch of money to handle the expenses for the women's water polo team and is there as their champion.
That's pretty awesome. Again, let's go back 30 years and imagine that guy doing this. It's really something. I mean, I don't know what that indicates in terms of where our society is going. I hope we're becoming more accepting. I don't know, but it is really a cool thing to see that heroes of, I would say, like the next generation are now taking part in the Olympic ceremony. Does that seem to make sense?
Yeah, I don't even know if it's the next generation, but what's look, that it's that sort of thing that engenders all of this interest, all of this excitement. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be that big global unifying celebration of accomplishment. And Flavor Flav is into that as much as, Tom Cruise is, as much as
who I saw last night in the stands.
Mick Jagger as well.
Mick Jagger. Popping up everywhere, big sports guy. So, it's if it's about excellence, it's, game recognizes game.
And no pressure on Snoop, but the subtext is, well, the ratings for the last Olympics tanked in Tokyo, I guess, right?
Well, which was weird, which was mid-lockdown and no crowds and everything else. But
But now they're going, so they're hoping that Snoop is going to bring the crowds back, that the ratings are going to be up.
I wouldn't bet against him.
I would not bet against that man. It's true.
We got a bunch of news. We got a bunch of new music picks, but I know we got a check-in from one of our regulars, one of our favorite Pod Squad, old school volumaniacs. We got a note, and we want to hear from Dean in Kansas before we move along here.
All right. What did Dean have to say, Roger?
Hi guys, it's a god-awful hot day here in the High Plains. Not a concert review, but certainly music related. Friday, 7/26, an epic Volumaniac meetup in Detroit with old friends Sunita, Kelly in Detroit, and Dean and Danielle on vacation from Kansas. The day started with Sunita driving us to the revitalized downtown Detroit to pick up our tickets and get our tour time for later that day. Since we had time, Sunita took us on a tour of the city, checking out many music venues and stopping at Jack White's Third Man Records, which is an experience of its own, with a self-contained pressing plant, stage, and records by a wide range of artists. We finished shopping in time for a short drive to Hitsville, USA for our tour. Anyone who knows me from Calling Debatable can just imagine my excitement at walking in the doors, where we were met by our knowledgeable tour guide, who after greeting us, ushered us into a theater to watch a short film introduction on the importance of Motown records. As far as I know, this little amazing film has not been shown anywhere else, and I found myself quite emotional. After the film, the tour began with a display and presentation of the Hitsville property and the expansion through the 60s until the company moved to LA in 1972. We then moved on to a view of the unique echo chamber in the attic and a tour of Berry Gordy's actual apartment on the third floor of the building as it was in the early 60s. All very interesting, but as I went downstairs, we were led into the fabled Studio A. I now understand what religious pilgrims feel like upon walking into Jerusalem, Mecca, or the Vatican, standing on the very floor and looking live at the equipment that many of my musical heroes made so much magic on, brought up powerful feelings of joy that still, days later, have me smiling. Hitsville is a rather small museum, but every corner is packed with American musical history, be it album covers, gold records, or photographs. The museum should not be missed by any music fans. Thanks, I hope you're all doing well. Have a terrific summer, Dean in Kansas.
Wow. That sounds like a great tour.
I saw some photos they were posting of a full meetup to check the Detroit music highlights and landmarks, and looked awesome. Huge smiles all around.
Thanks, Dean in Kansas. All right, keeping the Volumaniac dream alive. Much appreciated.
That's a big one.
We do have quite a bit more. We have actual music news to talk about. But let's take a fast break here, and we will come back on the other side. This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light. Welcome back to Sound Up, and I hope you're having a great summer. I'm Mark Goodman. We're here with Alan Light. I'm just back from vacation. I feel like I have to reintroduce myself. Remember
Allow me to reintroduce myself.
Allow me to reintroduce. So we wanted to get into some straight up music news. Some pretty heavy stories broke over the weekend. Legendary John Mayall, a guy who was the band leader for some of the greatest rock and blues ensembles of the mid-'60s, and a guy who basically started the career of your favorite, most amazing electric guitarist. The amazing John Mayall passed at 90 years old. That is a good run.
And was still performing as recently as last year, right?
Pretty amazing. And sounding great. And it wasn't sort of, he was on his last legs. He sounded really, really good. I saw him, I want to say 5 or 6 or 7 years ago. Great.
But he kept going. He kept putting out new music. He kept touring. I just saw a clip sent to a friend of his last performance, which I guess was sometime last year, but full speed, man. But just recap those credits.
I mean, between 65 and 69, who was in that band, the Yardbirds? A guy named Eric Clapton, who left to form Cream, and later, of course, became hugely successful as a solo artist, you may recall. Peter Green left to form Fleetwood Mac. Mick Taylor was in the band as well. He was pulled by the Stones for his brief tenure in that band. The number of people who have played in this band, in John Mayall's Blues Breakers.
The rhythm section of Mick Fleetwood and John McVie.
Mick and John left that band to form Fleetwood Mac. Jack Bruce joined Eric Clapton in Cream. Andy Frazier, an original member of Free. Ainsley Dunbar would play with Frank Zappa, Journey, and the Jefferson Starship. I mean, just these guys, people like Jack Bruce, people like Eric Clapton have talked about the tutelage of John Mayall and what his...
Back this up to that time, right? This is, again, we all came to these guys become superstars, British blues, everything that happens, and it revitalizes rock and roll and everything else. This is where this happens. That's a thing people do. This is a path that he, along with a couple of others, was really laying out and pioneering. And this sort of magnetic force who was drawing all this young talent and spotting all of this young talent and making a new musical movement out of that. I mean, it's really extraordinary what it is that he sort of galvanized. One
of the stories, the Times story, quotes from Clapton's autobiography, which was a pretty amazing autobiography. And he talked about going over to Mayall's house and sitting and chatting with him for hours, and John busting out all these old blues records, and what an incredible record collection he had seen.
Sure.
And this is where the rock god Eric Clapton was schooled.
And ironic or not, I don't know what we call it, but of course it had been announced that Mayall will be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this coming fall, this September. He knew that. He was aware of that. Sadly, was not quite able to make it to the time of the ceremony. Call that a mixed blessing, I suppose, at least that he knew that recognition was happening. I don't know if there was an awareness. I mean, I certainly hadn't heard anything recently about his health or his condition.
No.
If that was a thing, but I mean, obviously he was 90 years old. You have to be hyper aware of it regardless.
His last album out in 2022.
Yeah.
The Sun is Shining Down was his last one. Several DVDs, including one of a 70th birthday concert in 2003 with a lot of his old pals. His old
truly a legend. Meantime, while we're in that lane of tragedy, Sinead O'Connor's official cause of death has been revealed and has been determined to be chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, and asthma. Cause of death was disclosed in O'Connor's death certificate, which was filed by her family earlier this week. This is according to the Irish Independent. The death certificate was filed a year after O'Connor was found dead in her London flat. 1 year, I guess, to the day, July 26, 2023. At the time of her passing, O'Connor was 56 years old. The death was initially ruled as a result of natural causes. The death certificate provided specific details on the reasons behind her passing, citing, quote, an exacerbation of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and bronchial asthma together with a low-grade lower respiratory tract infection. Doesn't change anything about the life, just some more information to have, to the extent that you wonder what it is at 56 that would cause this event. At least a little more clarity on that.
Also in the news, a moment in rock and roll history as Billy Joel closes out his 10-year residency at Madison Square Garden in New York City. 10 years, a sold-out show every month for 10 years. Unparalleled in rock and roll.
Unprecedented.
One of the things that happened on many, many of the shows, I actually have seen 4 of the shows, with special guests turning up out of the blue that you would not expect, turning up to do a song or two with Billy. And this last night was no different. Axl Rose turned up at Madison Square Garden in New York City and showed up doing a cover of Wings' Live and Let Die and Highway to Hell. Of course, he fronted AC/DC for a minute a couple of years back. Billy, of course, performed several of his own best-known songs, including New York State of Mind, Allentown, Vienna, Uptown Girl, etc. But the fact that Axl was the special guest on that last night.
A little weird.
You know, I don't know what's weird anymore when it comes to Billy. He's had so many different artists. I don't know, Jose Feliciano was a guest one time. When I saw him, one of the times I saw John Mellencamp was a guest. Not so weird, but it's like whoever was in town.
I got Itzhak Perlman as a guest on one of them.
Right?
But for the final one, I mean, look, Axl certainly is, star power and newsy. I don't know. Elton couldn't make it?
Yeah. Oh. Really? We're going to go there?
Well, I'm just saying, if there's who's going to come see him off at the 150th, at the final one, there's some that you'd think, okay, that's,
it's true.
But
it's
okay.
true.
And it's all right.
Jimmy Fallon was there. He was on stage to give Billy a banner commemorating the moment, which goes up in the rafters with, the hockey
with all the numbers retired.
Basketball. Yeah.
It's already with Harry. I mean, Harry Styles is up there for the however many night run that he did that they marked with a banner, and Billy's already up there. They're just going to update that. I think when he hit 100, they put something up there.
Right.
So
right.
It stays forever.
Pretty amazing.
It's a good gig, man. As we've said, he takes a car in, plays a show, goes back home, sleeps in his own
bed, not a bus.
Puts $1 million in the bank each month.
What an incredible gig. And I mean, it really is. Stop and think about it. I mean, who could do that? He also, for a lot of the time, half of the band was from Long Island. Right. So pretty much half the audience was from Long Island every month. And it was like, like a rally.
Well, and that's the thing, to pull that off, it really does require the connection to the location that will continue. It just became a New York institution for such a New York identified artist. You can't just drop in and do that wherever. You have to have a connection that is strong enough that people want to see you there, right?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
To do that for year in, year out, got to give credit to that.
And it is odd, being a New Yorker, it's kind of odd to think that, you can't just go see Billy Joel now. Like he's just not there, playing.
It's not this month, I'll get there next time.
Right, exactly.
Right. I'll catch him next month. But look, he's not retiring. He's not retiring from touring. He is still going to be doing live dates. In fact, he's got some dates lined up, stadium dates. He's doing some with Stevie Nicks. He's doing some on his own. So it's not like Billy's going away. But now maybe more people will get a chance to see him. I don't know.
We talked about this. It's always interesting to me. He can do baseball stadiums as Billy Joel. They can do football stadiums as Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks.
Right.
That, the co-headline kicks it up to those bigger stadiums.
Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. An American hero. What are you going to say?
So we mentioned Jack White before in their in the Pod Squad Detroit tour. They hit up the Third Man space in Detroit. And while they were there, actually, I don't know, they could have picked up, hey, there's a new Jack White album. Jack put out an album, his first in a couple of years, and released it only on vinyl in the Third Man record store, on-site record stores.
That's kind of the weird stuff you'd expect from Jack White, isn't it?
The things that he
I'm going to put out a record in my hometown, in
white,
the little town.
White vinyl record, plain white, unmarked packaging, the title No Name, and I heard people could just go in and get it. There was a big rush when it first dropped, but then it was just there. People could just go in and pick it up. It wasn't some huge crazy, there's only 100 of these or whatever it is. People could buy it.
Well, how do I get it?
Well, it has been on YouTube. People have posted from the vinyl recordings, to a YouTube page to listen to. Not officially. I don't know if they're policing that. I don't know if they've been just letting those ride or knocking them down as they go up. But apparently that is a place you can hear it. That's it. And no announcement yet of what further plans, if he is going to put it out in any other way, if this is the only way that it exists.
Weird. But
it is the Jack White way.
It is Jack White. And pretty, I wonder, just as a side note, and I wish someone would do some research on this. We talked about this. I remember, Alan, you and I on our show years ago. What a smart guy, opening up pressing plants. Opening up
the whole Third Man retail headquarter, taking his platform and making this into this, not there are other things, but really music-based sort of full-service empire.
Seemingly without any care about whether he makes a profit or not, But
it's all driving awareness and brand and visibility, and then touring and, in the dialogue, in the conversation, really working on sort of different levels other than, hey, how do I sell the most of the next record? This record, by the way, at least for the first day, they were giving away at Third Man. If you went in and bought something else, they just they just gave you one. They gave you a copy in your bag.
See, that's, again, I'm going to put stuff out. And if you hear about it, it's a story that you read about. Oh, as
You're
opposed
curious,
to hearing
you
it on
chase
the radio.
it down. How do I hear it? Maybe you go over to YouTube and see if it's there. Maybe you're asking. It's just a different level of engagement than, hey, he put out a new album and here it is on the streaming service. The guy's a big deal. People pay attention, but they pay attention in a different way because of the way that he does stuff. And that's always the color scheme, all the code, all the history, all the rules that he sets for himself. This is why he's still interesting 25 years later.
And in terms of radio play, which one would think an artist would want when it comes to releasing new music, WDET-FM is the local public radio station, played the whole album that afternoon when Jack started doing this. Was it last weekend? No track list, no notes, no nothing, just music in a white package, white vinyl, white label. Go Jack.
So that one's working. And one final note for another band, roughly contemporary, who's it's maybe not working quite so well.
I'm feeling kind of bad for Weezer at the moment. We had heard about this big project, this Seasons project that they had been working on, but it seems now they had put out all the 4 seasons. Yep. And the discussion was that there was going to, after that happened, they were going to put out the box set. But it seems as though now they're saying that the interest doesn't seem to be there. I think that's one of the ways that they're kind of putting it.
That's one way to say it, yes.
They're fearing that the sales might not be where they want it to. Basically, they figured they're not going to sell enough to recoup, so there will be no box set, sadly. The albums are all out there. You don't need the box if you want to hear the albums, but it sounds like a kind of kick in the nads for the band.
And they had to cancel, they had scheduled a Broadway run, I guess that's maybe 2 years ago now, and then they had to call that off because of lack of interest. So I don't know what people want from Weezer. On the one hand, they're still out playing arenas. They're doing a tour through the fall.
Yeah. It's not like people are off the band. People still dig Weezer. And even I know the one that I'm thinking of, was it Spring? I think the Spring one, which was maybe the first one that came out, that was great. And I kind of lost track. Maybe that's what happened to America. We lost track of the rest of the season.
Maybe it's asking too much. Again, we're saying Jack White, mystery, intrigue, quick hit. All of a sudden this thing is there, no hype, whatever. On the Weezer saying, we're going to be doing this over the next few months or years, and then there'll be another one. Do people have the attention to stick with it? And apparently we see the answer is no.
The answer is no. We do not. All right, fast look at some of the things going on in the world of music. We are going to take a fast break. We've still got some new music picks to run by you. So hang out and we'll run those down for you and let you know where you can listen to our new music picks. That's coming up after this break on Sound Up. We are back at Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light. And in this, our final segment for the show today, we've got our new music picks. I see them all in front of me. I know what everybody has picked. Alan, can I start off?
Yeah, you've been away, so I think it's clearly it's your turn in the rotation.
I picked only one today. I like to we keep them a little shorter than we used to in the old days when we could actually play a little bit of it. But I picked something brand new-ish from Karen O and Danger Mouse. You may remember, if you're a fan of either of those artists, that they put out an album in 2019 called Lux Prima. And they are reissuing that album. It'll be out in September. And they have released in advance of that a new single called Super Breath. This was not on the original, but it is Karen O and Danger Mouse together. And they've released Super Breath, their first new song since making that record. And they also released a cover of Lou Reed's Perfect Day.
That, I think, had been out like on a record store day thing. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, and something that they did at Sirius. They did a Sirius XMU session. And yes, it was a record store day release. But both artists who have such long histories separately, really, really cool that they got together. I don't know if you remember the Lux Prima record. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And it did nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an art piece, you know, and they did like an installation around it. I mean, they sort of treated it as an art piece. I really like this new song. And what I can't figure out, they don't really say, is it from those same sessions or is it something that they got together, you know, now and did?
Right. You know, it's funny. I just assumed that it was something they got together now and
I sort of did
right.
too, but I don't, you know, it says it's new. I don't know what that exactly means. Doesn't matter. It's really good. It's very reminiscent of the work that Danger Mouse did with the Black Keys. Yeah. Right. It's very much that kind of a groove and a feel to it, to like the Brothers album.
Yeah. And I will say, Alan, thanks for giving it up and letting me have that one. I know you picked it too.
I got two I'll hit real quick. One of them that I sort of stumbled across, I think we've maybe I don't know, but Mooney Long, an R&B singer, won a Grammy last year before in the, you know, for an R&B performance. Came to success really as a writer, wrote for Rihanna and for Ariana Grande and, you know, a bunch of big credits in the writing room. But she had an album came out a couple of years ago, again, Grammy recognized, had a sort of a viral hit last year that then came out as a remix with Mariah Carey a couple of months ago. And now setting up a new album that's coming out next month, I believe, put out a song called Ruined Me that is a very sort of old school R&B ballad, big voice, big singing, string section, just a really easy song to like, you know, certainly modern enough in sort of her style. And again, as the writer that she is, but if you're a fan of that sort of classic soul thing, it definitely hits that note. So wanted to mention that one.
Yeah.
And maybe breaking a rule, because I think I put a song from these guys on our Sound Up soundtrack playlist over on Spotify when the single came out. But the album from Red Clay Strays came out on Friday, Moments That Made Me. And it's just really good. I feel like I'm late to these guys who were sort of an Americana viral sensation, which is a hilarious sort of unexpected thing to say, the world of the viral Americana community. What I had heard from them before is this sort of almost, you know, emo country sort of a thing, very introspective, very serious, and really good and really powerful songs. The album has some kind of, you know, real meathead Southern rock to some of it, very Skinnerd,
which is a special genre. Meathead.
It
Southern
is a special.
rock.
You know what I mean when I say.
I know
that.
exactly.
And it's really good, and they're playing their asses off. But I sort of wasn't aware of that side of them so much. Really strong songwriters, really strong singers, and would point to a song that's not one of the big rock songs, but is more one of the sort of slow feels kind of a song called No One Else Like Me. But these guys are really good. They opened for the Stones, I think at Fenway last month. I don't know. They got one of those dates. And I thought a little bit like, I don't know, I mean, maybe, but it seems kind of quiet for that. But now I totally get it and see how that would work. And really eager they're coming around here in the fall, I think in October. And I'm really, really interested to see them if you like, you know, if you want that, either if you're into the sort of Zach Bryan-y singer-songwriter, all Americana thing, or the throwback country rock sort of a feel there for both of you. So Red Clay Strays is the other one I'm bringing this week. Roger, what do you got?
I have one this week. One of my favorite bands is coming out with a new album I think at the end of August. Airborne Toxic Event's new album, Glory. They released one song from it, the title track called Glory. And if you like this band, this is exactly what they do. And it's another great song. He's a great lyricist. This is their first new music since their 2020 album, Hollywood Park, which was kind of a soundtrack to singer Mikkel's autobiography, which is a great read and even a better listen because he narrates the book. And he's got a fascinating story, having been brought up in a cult. Escaping that, becoming a music journalist, starting this band. It's a fantastic story, and he documents a lot of his life and a lot of his music. And just another great song. They're on the road right now. I can't wait to see them in September, but go check out Glory.
I fault their management or their label or their publisher or something. This band is so great. I love them. I've seen them live a bunch of times. They kick ass live. They should be so much bigger than they are.
I agree. And I don't know if it's the name is misleading to the type of band they are, but I mean, the name comes from a Don DeLillo book, but they're a fantastic band. And if you don't know them, consistently, album for album, they are fantastic.
Yeah. One more thing before we wrap things up here on Sound Up. A dear friend of ours and a major part of the Volume family, producer and engineer Ed Robinson, going through some health issues that his family made public on social media recently. And we just wanted to let Ed and his family know that all of us here on Sound Up are thinking about him. We're thinking about his family. We are hoping for great outcomes as Ed weathers this storm. We know all the pod squatters and volumaniacs feel the same as we do and wish Ed and his family the very, very best.
Absolutely. Ed's a longtime friend, and we worked together back at VH1. We worked together in between VH1 and Sirius. Ed's a tough cookie, so
he's going to beat it.
All right. So that winds us up for the week. Head on over to sounduppod.com. Find out how you can be part of our live Sound Up, Sound Off podcast taping. We got to get one of those scheduled. We've held off through summer and vacations and everything else, but we're going to set back up one of our audience episodes soon. And please email us. You heard the missive from Dean in Kansas earlier in the show with his report on their Detroit visit. If you've been to a show, been to a rock and roll landmark, have thoughts about the Olympic ceremonies, whatever you want to weigh in about, you can write to us. You can record a voice message and send it to us. All of that goes to connect@sounduppod.com.
We want to hear from you. We want to make you part of this podcast. We're doing this, but we can't do it without you. We would love for you to give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you wind up listening to Sound Up on. Tell your friends, spread the word. We're trying to build something here with your help, and you can make it happen. So that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Sound Up. We will catch you next time right here. Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light.
Sound Up is hosted by Mark Goodman and Alan Light, produced by Roger Coletti, distributed by Revolver Podcasts. Get Sound Up on Pandora Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. To be a part of the show, email us at connect@sounduppod.com. Sound Up theme music is by Smile from Tokyo. We'll see you next time right here on Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light.